Warning: this following video will contain spoilers for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. View at your own discretion. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I am giving my spoiler review and breakdown of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now I just want to put a disclaimer out there that this is a spoiler review for the movie, so if you have not seen the movie yet, I would not recommend watching this video just yet. Unless you're just one of those psychopaths that don't care about spoilers and you're alright with living your life in this chaotic way. But either way, I have seen this movie 3 times and there is a lot to unpack here, so here is my review for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, I will admit that the first time I watched it, I did think that it dragged on quite a bit. There was very little action in it, and the first half of it just felt like it was just building up very slowly compared to the runtime. But then at the end, whenever I found out that it was going to be a 2-parter, it kind of made sense. So now all of the action and the story development are just going to be in the second part of the story. Even though coming out of the theater had me pumped for the next one, this one was still really good. And like I said in my previous video, this one had so many Easter eggs and a lot more going towards the live action movies that I didn't know was going to be in there. So let's get on to the story. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse picks up 1 year after the events of Into the Spider-Verse. Or just a few seconds, depending on how you want to interpret this ending scene. Now, the movie is about Miles Morales trying to join an elite team of Spider people joined together by Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099. He's trying to keep up with his Miles Morales life as well as his Spider-Man persona, and he just wants to be with his friends who are all universes away, and he starts to eventually feel left out. He struggles to try and keep his parents proud, and he's afraid that if he tells them that he's been lying to them for the past year about him being Spider-Man, then they just won't love him anymore. He also tries to keep the promise that he makes to his mom halfway through the movie that he won't let anyone stop him from shaping his life the way that he wants it to be just because they say that he does not belong there. Which is really powerful because sometimes we ourselves can feel like that, and this is a great message to relay to people so that they have someone to relate to. Now, Gwen Stacy is the next one that I want to touch on because the movie starts out on her Earth as she's explaining that everything that Miles is going through, he's not the only one. Gwen goes back to her Earth where her best friend had been killed, and her dad is the one leading the manhunt to catch Spider-Woman. She's also having trouble keeping up with her personal life and her Spider-Woman persona, and you'll notice that whenever she's walking into crowds, she goes behind someone and re-emerges, or whenever she looks into a new reflection, her mask comes and goes, which is a way of showing that she is trying to work out both lives. She doesn't feel accepted on her Earth, and she just wants to get back to Miles' Earth, where she at least has one of the friends that she just made. And that comes whenever she runs into a vulture that was thrown into her Earth from a Leonardo da Vinci themed Earth. And that's when she meets Miguel O'Hara and Jessica Drew, and that's also when her dad finds out that she is Spider-Woman and betrays her. And it's honestly a really sad beginning to the movie. Now, Miles' main villain in this movie is the Spot, who was a scientist that was affected during the particle collider explosion in the first movie. And to be honest, he's not even really a big part of the movie. Sure, he gets the events going in motion, but he's constantly tripping over himself, he's never taken seriously, and he's always constantly referred to as just the villain of the week. And this upsets him because he wants to be known as Miles' nemesis because they are connected. So whenever he finds out that his holes can take him into anywhere in the multiverse, he starts to use that to make himself stronger and to make himself worthy enough to be called Miles' nemesis. But he's not the only nemesis in the movie, and I'll get more on that here in a second. Now, for the past year, Miles has actually really missed Gwen, Peter, and the others, but mostly Gwen. Now, he wants to be given another chance to see them all again, but whenever he is given that chance, it's honestly not all as it seems. Now, after leaving his Earth, he's brought to Earth 50-101 where he meets Spider-Man India and Hobie Brown, Spider-Punk, who I have got to say is my favorite one because he is just like the type that he is trying to be cool in his own way, and he is just completely against the system, and he is the best character. And then Spider-Man India plays a Spider-Man who everything comes really easily for him. My first thought whenever he was introducing himself was, you can tell that he has his life perfectly balanced with his Spider-Man persona. And they got Karan Soni to play him, who in my opinion is a really good voice actor, and he played one of my favorite characters in the podcast Bridgewater.
Break for a cup of chai with my Maya auntie.
I love chai tea.
What did you just say?
Chai tea? Chai means tea, bro. You're saying tea. Would I ask you for a coffee with room for cream?
No.
But while on this Earth, Miles saves the police captain, and this is where he becomes a really big problem for Miguel O'Hara. Miles finds out that parts of his future are fixed points called canon events, and it could be disastrous if he were to disrupt them. The canon events pertaining to him being that his uncle Aaron was supposed to die, which he did, but his dad is supposed to die as soon as he becomes captain. They state that there's always a police captain that Spider-Man is close to that dies, and like Uncle Ben, this always has to happen. This movie expands on what Tom Holland's Spider-Man went through when Tobey and Andrew told him that Uncle Ben's, in that case Aunt May's, death was always a part of Spider-Man's story. Miles does not accept this, and he starts arguing with all the spider people, eventually looking over at Gwen, knowing that her dad is a police captain, and you can tell that she does not like the outcome, but she just accepts it. And at this point, the Spot is no longer the main antagonist. That moniker, see, I got the name right that time, goes to Miguel O'Hara. Everyone is against Miles at this point, and they are all trying to tell him that this is the way that things have to go. Spider-Man doesn't always save everyone. Which brings me to the message of the movie, which is making your destiny your own, and to not stop fighting whoever tries to make you go on a different path than you want to take. And the best scene that I can find that is effective in relaying this message is the scene when they're on top of the speed train and Miles is fighting with Miguel. In this scene, Miguel actually reveals that Miles is really an anomaly. He is not supposed to be a part of the Great Web. The spider that bit him was actually from Earth 42 and was not supposed to bite him. So everything that happened in the first movie, Peter from 1610 dying, the particle collider exploding, the Spot being created, all of that was because Miles was turned into Spider-Man. Now that's actually where I found a plot hole, because the canon events are events that are supposed to happen in every Spider-Man story. They are fixed points. The Spot was not supposed to be created, making him an anomaly. If he was not created, then he would not have caused the chaos on Earth 50-101, which would have led to Captain Jane's death, which was a canon event, the one that Miguel was upset that Miles had disrupted. But that was the only problem I found in the movie, really, so back to the review. But Miles is told that he does not belong there because he himself is an anomaly, and he will be an anomaly everywhere he goes. And Miles is not having that. At this point, he is tired of people telling him how his story is supposed to go, and that he is going to be doing his own thing, which leads him to go home, or at least what he thinks is home. And Sony did a really good job at the scene where he finally goes home, because I saw on the computer that it had mentioned that it was sending him to Earth 42, but they did really good at making it seem like Miguel, Jess, Ben, and Gwen had all followed him to his Earth, but in reality, he was on a different Earth, on Earth 42. Now, if you ask me, my favorite scenes are probably going to be the ones when they're in HQ on Earth 928. This is where we see a lot of the Easter eggs as they're walking through the Spider People and the villains that they've caught throughout the Spider-Verse, including Donald Glover as the Prowler, Peter Parker, and Ben Reilly's Scarlet Spider. And we get to meet Mayday Parker, Peter's daughter, and they also give us archived footage from Tobey and Andrew's movies as Miguel is explaining that tragedy is always a part of Spider-Man's story. But this is a really great movie, and I really enjoyed going back the second time, knowing what's going to happen, and being able to anticipate everyone's reaction to it. So I would highly recommend this movie. And on a 5-star rating, I would probably give this one a 4.3. But it was really good. My only problem was that it did feel like it took a while for it to actually start. But then whenever I found out that it was a 2-part movie, it actually made sense. But the second one is supposed to be more action-packed and more story development. So I am just excited for it and ready for it to come out. But that's going to do it for this video. If you have your own opinion, if you liked it, you didn't like it, if you're neither here nor there, don't forget to drop a comment down below. And like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And also click that bell icon so that you get notifications every time that I drop a new video. Other than that, this is all I have for you today. I will see you guys next week.